Omaha's news leader. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
It is almost voting time in Nebraska. So today we're helping you get the facts and diving into everything you need to know about the candidates and making your vote matter this upcoming primary. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Shammer. There are multiple races on this year's ballot, and every race may have multiple faces. We're here to break them all down for you and highlight some of the hottest races, and to make sure you are prepared to cast your ballot come Election Day. Here's a look at what's on the ballot in May. Everything from the big races like governor or senator, as well as U.S. representatives, to statewide ballot measures, to smaller races for judges or public utility districts, even on down to educational boards and reclamation districts. It's all on the ballot this year, and it's why your vote matters. The primary election is now just over 3 weeks away. Many questions still exist regarding how to vote, where to vote, and more. That's why we're here to give you the answers. Joining us now are Douglas County Election Commissioner Danielle Jensen and Sarpy County Election Commissioner David Jones. Commissioners, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Danielle, let's start with you. You're fairly new to the position, but you have a background in politics, correct?
Well, I have a varied background, actually, more than just politics. I started about 28 years ago in broadcasting. I worked at a local TV station and then also at a radio station doing news. And then I went into politics, worked on a couple of campaigns, and then switched to actually working for state government. So I worked for a state agency as the Public and Legislative Affairs Officer, where I handled public relations and also passing legislation, working with stakeholder groups, and passing rules and regulations. Then, of course, I worked for Congressman Bacon.
Yeah, wide background.
Yeah, very wide.
Commissioner Jones, you're a veteran, right?
Yes, sir. I am a veteran. I hail from Boston originally. Went to school out at the Air Force Academy. I was fortunate enough to fly for the Air Force for a little over 20 years.
Wow.
The local RC-135 aircraft, the E-4 as well, kind of known as the Doomsday airplane. But a lot of fun doing that. And then from there, transitioned into the private sector. Worked for Gallup for about 13 years, and then was fortunate enough to stumble upon this opportunity, and been here about 8 months.
All right. Well, let's talk elections, okay? One of the big talking points this year, Commissioner Jensen, I'm going to start with you. Security protocols over mail-in ballots. What do you guys do to ensure that they're counted accurately and that they're coming from who they say they're coming from?
So when a person sends in their request to have that ballot, they provide us with their ID, the number on their Nebraska driver's license or ID, or a photocopy of one of the other acceptable forms of ID, and we check that at that point. And once we verify that that's them, we put together their ballot packet. When they send it back to us, we have to make sure that it's signed, and we compare that to the signature we have on file, and also with the DMV file. We can compare the signatures there. At that point, we make sure they have the correct ballot in the envelope. Some people do try to combine ballots, like a husband and wife might try and mail those in together. Don't do that. That will make your ballot rejected. In that case, we do notify them and let them know that they've got to fix that. Then we scan them, and they remain sealed until the day before elections, when we open them all up and scan them in the machines.
So there's a lot of steps in the process.
There's a lot more steps, yeah.
Commissioner Jones, in-person voting started this week. What's turnout been like so far?
It did. It's been fantastic. As a matter of fact, one of my staff gave me a statistic that was pretty interesting. We've had an increase of about 38% of in-person folks voting, picking up their ballots, in comparison to the primary of 2022.
Wow.
So if that keeps up, so we had 116 in that first week back in 2024. And then we've had 161 so far this week. So if that interest keeps going, we're in for a pretty exciting primary.
What do people need to know if they haven't? There's a big one. If people haven't voted for a while, got to bring an ID, right? What IDs qualify?
They do need to bring their ID, and we call it Bring It. The Secretary of State passed that a couple of years ago, and so Nebraska State driver's license, Nebraska State ID. And then on the Secretary of State's website are listed the other acceptable forms of ID.
Great. Commissioner Jensen, District 2, which includes Douglas and Sarpy County, it's pretty purple. There's a lot of nonpartisan voters. I have a statistic here, about 26% of the electorate, nonpartisan registrations. What can nonpartisans do on a primary day?
So on primary day, they are able to select the federal election, like the party of their choice. And there's 4 parties in the state of Nebraska: Democrat, Republican, Legal Marijuana Now, and Libertarian. So nonpartisan can choose the federal ballot for that. Then on the nonpartisan races, they will receive no matter what. And then for local races, they can choose a Democrat or a Libertarian ballot as well for your local races that are partisan. But the Republican and Republican and Legal Marijuana Now are closed primaries.
Okay. Commissioner Jones, I know we're early, but you had a statistic there. What do you expect turnout to be like?
Well, if it's any indication from the last primary, at least it's hard to say, of course, but 30%, around 30% is what we're expecting.
Okay.
And we're hopeful that with the word that's been getting out with shows like this, that voters are really making the intention to see that it's important to vote in the primary, to have their voices heard.
Great. Commissioner Jensen, we only have about 30 seconds left, but I thought I read somewhere that even if you're 17, you can vote in a primary. Is that correct?
Correct. So if you turn 18 on or before general election day, you can register when you're 17 years old to vote. I took my daughter to register at 17 on the day I was sworn in. So she's all ready to vote. She'll be able to vote in the May primary and the general.
Great. Thank you both so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, let's talk about those congressional races. Republican Mike Flood is Nebraska's first congressional district representative. The businessman from Norfolk has a broadcast background, founding Flood Communications in 1999. Since then, Flood worked his way up in the Nebraska legislature, first being elected senator in 2005. He became the youngest Speaker of the Senate in Nebraska history in 2007. Flood has served 2 terms in the House after winning a special election in 2022, defeating Patty Pansing Brooks. He was re-elected in 2024, winning over Carol Blood. Flood will not be on the ballot in May. He's unopposed for the Republican nomination. He'll take on the Democratic nominee and Libertarian Nick Sandman. The Democratic nominee race is between 2 candidates with deep roots in Nebraska. Both may be different in backgrounds, but the goal is the same: win the primary and then win the congressional seat. Chronicle's John Grinvalds learns more about Eric Moyer and Chris Backemeyer.
Eric Moyer and Chris Backemeyer have been busy,
same issue,
crisscrossing the campaign trail of Congressional District 1.
I grew up in Lincoln. My great-great-grandparents on both my mom and dad's side homesteaded around Murdoch, Nebraska in the late 1800s.
I grew up in a small town in Madison, Nebraska. I had the opportunity to work my grandparents' farm in the fall and the summer.
Moyer spent time in sales and marketing and ended up in the solar power industry, building renewable energy projects throughout the Midwest. Dissatisfaction with the status quo put him on the path to the primary.
My frustration with our economy not working for working families. Range of different policies that seem innocuous in and of themselves, but when you look at the sum total are basically war, all-out war on rural economies.
Backemeyer went to D.C. after 9/11, pursuing a career in national security. He specialized in finance, thwarting terrorist networks, but says the sweeping changes of DOJ put him and his team in a bind.
What was clear to me is that sense of mission and purpose that had always driven me throughout all those administrations just wasn't there this time around. It was more about making arbitrary cuts. That's why I decided that I needed to find a different corner to fight in and push back against.
The two say incumbent Congressman Mike Flood, who won the district by 20 points in 2024, hasn't done enough to rein in the Trump administration, and both are focused on living expenses and health care.
Driving down costs, making life more affordable, and bringing an end to this billionaire first culture, billionaire first agenda that we have now.
And trying to bring down costs. That's why I support unequivocally Medicare for all. We absolutely have to have a public option.
Both say their experience sets them apart.
I'm not a DC insider. I don't have friends in big, high places. But what I do have is a lot of experience living and working in rural Nebraska.
I have spent my time working across the aisle with both Democrats and Republicans to find common sense solutions to problems that we all know need to be solved.
Reporting for KATV News Watch 7, I'm John Grinvalds.
And if you want a more in-depth guide on the District 1 race, scan the QR code right now and go to ketv.com. Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen has several challengers. That includes 5 in his own party. Pillen is in his first term, elected in 2022. Challengers include Sheila Korth-Faken, a Sandhills resident, Gary Rogie, an Auburn native, J.C. Todd from York, John Walls from Omaha, and Sal Holguin, whose photo was not available. The Democratic field features Lynn Walls and Larry Marvin. Walls and Marvin are both from Fremont. The Legalize Marijuana Now party will also have a primary. Rick Beard from Omaha is running against James Charvat. All party nominees will run against each other in November's election. Still ahead on KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle, it is time to break down one of the biggest congressional primaries, the race for Nebraska District 2 and the Democratic nomination. Get the facts and hear from the candidates when we return here on Chronicle.